From the Detroit Free Press, it's Wednesday, December 30th. Here are today's top stories, presented by Bush's Fresh Food Market. Bush's has over 4,000 Michigan products, including the freshest fruit and vegetables, meat, seafood, and baked goods. Stop by one of Bush's 16 locations for the personal service you expect from your neighborhood grocer.
I'm Dave Boucher with the Detroit Free Press. Governor Gretchen Whitmer signed a COVID-19 relief bill on Tuesday that includes millions in direct aid for businesses and workers affected by the pandemic. But she used special veto powers to remove $220 million from the bill, a move that Republican legislative leaders say has negative and colossal consequences for unemployment benefits. The money would have gone toward a fund typically filled by employers. That money is then distributed to laid-off workers. Whitmer argued the funding amounted to an unwarranted tax break for big businesses and would not affect individual benefits.
And it was disappointing, and that's why I've had to take the action that I have. It does not jeopardize a single effort or resource that is dedicated toward helping our unemployed. And anyone who tells you that just isn't being honest about what that really was all about.
But leaders in the House and Senate argue the veto essentially nullifies an extension of unemployment benefits included in a separate bill. The separate bill included a temporary provision that allowed those eligible in Michigan to receive up to 26 weeks of unemployment benefits. Current Michigan law allows only 20 weeks of benefits for each unemployment claim. However, legislative Republicans say language in the separate bill only allowed the extension to happen if the governor approved the $220 million in funds. By vetoing the funds, they argued the provision that included the extension was essentially nixed. The state-based measure is entirely separate from a federal COVID-19 relief bill. That $900 billion package includes additional money for unemployment benefits, which could eventually be used for some requests in Michigan. But questions remain about eligibility and when those who are eligible may receive their unemployment benefits in the future.
For the Detroit Free Press, I'm Omar Abdelbaki. Several cases of a seemingly more contagious coronavirus variant discovered in the United Kingdom have surfaced in Canada, with some of the confirmed cases located near Toronto, just a 4-hour drive from Detroit. Cases of the new variant have not been confirmed in the United States, but the CDC says it's possible that the variant is here and just hasn't been detected yet. Canadian health officials say they discovered 2 cases near Toronto. The couple had recently been in contact with someone who traveled to the UK. Officials also found 1 case in Ottawa and 1 in British Columbia. Both recently traveled to the UK. The Public Health Agency of Canada says it expects to find more cases. Although evidence suggests that the new variant could spread more rapidly, the CDC says there's no evidence that it causes more severe illness or increased risk of death, nor is there evidence that it is more resistant to vaccines. The land border between the United States and Canada has been closed to non-essential travel since March. Non-essential air and water travel between the countries is allowed as long as quarantine rules are adhered to when traveling to Canada. Canada suspended all flights from the UK, and the United States is requiring all travelers from the UK to test negative for the coronavirus within 72 hours of their departure. The Michigan Department of Health advises Michiganders to protect themselves with the same methods they've already been using: wearing masks, socially distancing, hand washing frequently, and avoiding large gatherings.
This is Nishrat Rahman for the Detroit Free Press. 2020 was a rough year. Not only did thousands of people die, but the pandemic took its toll on many local businesses and restaurants across the state. Some of those places include the Detroit Institute of Bagels in Corktown, a coffee and bagel shop which closed after 7 years in business, and in Clinton Township, Major Magic, a pizza and animatronics restaurant that was known as a childhood staple. Sanders Candy, a popular Michigan brand, permanently closed 4 of its stores over the summer across the state. And Hamtramck's Revolver, a unique communal dining space where chefs would rotate out each week, didn't survive the pandemic either. For a more complete look, visit freep.com.
I'm Kirkland Crawford with the Free Press Sports Department, checking in on Michigan football. And while we are still waiting to hear about the contract extension for Jim Harbaugh, we know that he's under contract for next season. But a pair of his players announced on Tuesday they won't be around in 2021. Linebacker Cameron McGrone and place kicker Quinn Nordin announced via social media they intend to enter the NFL draft. It's an early entry for McGrone, who just completed his junior season injured. But before that, he seemed to show promise to follow in the footsteps of first-round draft pick Devin Bush Jr. That potential was never truly realized, nor was it for Nordin, part of Jim Harbaugh's first true recruiting class in 2016. As you may remember, Nordin was the number one kicker coming out of high school, and Harbaugh slept over at Nordin's house to help seal the deal. But Nordin and Jake Moody have been locked in a battle for the better field goal kicker, seemingly ever since.
For more stories from the Detroit Free Press, be sure to check out freep.com. That's FREEP.com. If you're a fan and want to support our quality local journalism, subscribe. Go to freep.com/special offer.